Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Tier 1 Perceptions. It's been a while. It's been a while. You know my saying, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So I'm just getting off of work this morning. I know I say that almost every time I do a video, but it is what it is. So it's a lot that has been going on. I know my last video I talked about Diddy. I talked about Diddy and karma and how karma works, reciprocity, all those different things. And it is one more aspect that I wanted to add to it. Sorry about that. My baby was at the door trying to harass me. Um, So one aspect that I left out of the video was Cassie. Um, she is the most important part of that whole situation, the whole circumstance, because she's the victim, right? No matter how people want to flip it, how they want to turn it, she is the victim of the situation. And that's why I wanted to come and talk to you guys, because we've gotten into, I'm not even going to say we've gotten into, we've been in, okay? As as people, we've been in this whole thing of victim shaming. And it's like I never really understood, the concept of victim shaming. Somebody goes through something traumatizing by the hands of someone else, and then we blame the victim for what they went through. And I see a lot of people commenting, and having a lot of content on what Cassie did and what she didn't do. And, oh, well, you put up with this for X amount of years, so how can you come out now and talk about it? And I'm going to tell you how. So, everybody has a story, okay? And in every story, there's a villain, okay? I've been the villain in somebody's story. Somebody has been a villain in mine. Somebody has been a villain in yours. And you have been a villain in someone else's story, right? Let's just be honest and call a spade a spade. So, my thing is this: when we get into relationships with people, whether it be an intimate relationship, platonic relationship, a romantic relationship, whatever it is, okay? Agape love, and that's just like a kind of like a platonic relationship. You know, you don't expect the person that's supposed to love you, you don't expect them to treat you bad, disrespect you, traumatize you, abuse you. You don't expect that, right? And 9 times out of 10, when you go into a relationship, when you go into a connection, you're going in 110%. You're going in with your heart open, with your heart on your sleeve. That's how we go in, because we're like, okay, we're showing love and respect, and we're doing and saying all the things in a relationship that we would want done and said to us. And eventually what ends up happening is, depending on who that person is, they will take all the respect and love and kindness and compassion that you give them, and they will use it for fuel, but not fuel for good, okay? Fuel to abuse you. But it has really nothing to do with you. It's the trauma and the damage that they have gone through, and they are now projecting it onto you, right? And it doesn't justify it, okay? Because you were traumatized, now you're going to come and traumatize my ass. No, it's not right. And I was in a relationship with a person for many years, and that person was very manipulative, emotionally and mentally. And I stayed for a very long time, even though they did abuse me mentally. Okay, not the physical aspect, but mentally. And what I can say to you is, you end up getting in a place where you feel like, if you leave that person, and this is all subjective. I mean, it all depends on your past and what you've been through. But for me, I stayed so long because I felt like this person loves me. This person has been there for me through thick and thin. It was a trauma bond. That's what usually keeps a person in a relationship or a connection, a trauma bond. All right. And usually people who are abusive, manipulative, narcissistic, they prey on people. All right. And the number one tactic that they use is trauma bonding. Okay, I know that this person went through X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. And that is how we're going to stick together. Well, you went through X, Y, and Z, and so did I. And, we've been there for each other through this, right? And when you're a person who's naturally generous and giving and kind and full of light, right? And full of lightheartedness, you are going to feel compelled, right? Obliged to stay and be with that person, because what they're going to do, they're going to use a bait and switch tactic. All right, along with the trauma bond, they're going to bait you in with the trauma, okay, and then they're going to switch it up on you and hit you with the abuse. All right, and it cuts on and off like a light switch. And what ends up happening is your emotions, okay, and the way you think and feel about that person starts to cause your brain to rewire itself, okay? And you start to think and feel in different ways that you've never felt before, and you can't explain how you're feeling. You can't identify, oh my goodness, what is it that's causing me to feel this way? And then this person comes in, they love bomb you, and then they change your perspective again, right? And when you're young, because Cassie was young when she, found her way into that connection with Diddy, she was like 20 something. To me, you might be grown chronologically, but mentally, emotionally, you are not grown. Okay? You are still very, very green and very, very naive to a degree. Okay? I believe it's safe to say that. And so when you're young and impressionable, you don't really have the experience, and you're dealing with not only a very cunning person and manipulative person, you're dealing with a person that has more life experience than you, that knows how to use all of those different tactics to get what they want from a person. And you being the young, impressionable, more unexperienced individual, you are not going to catch on to it. Okay, and you're going to get caught up in the net. Okay, so that's how she ended up staying so long. But what starts to happen is, through those years that you were experiencing the abuse and the manipulation and the trauma bond and the bait and switch, the lies, the love bombing, the abuse, you're also growing and learning. Okay, that doesn't stop. Okay, you're also growing and learning and figuring out who you are as a person, what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like. Okay, and through the abuse that you experience, you also start to learn things and become smart as well. You start to gain some knowledge and some little tactics of your own. Okay, and you start to figure out, you know what, this person is full of shit, this person is a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? And so once you come to, because it's like you're almost laying dormant, you're almost laying dormant, and you're taking a back seat and letting this person drive, right? Drive the car to your emotions, drive the car to your heart and your mind and your soul and your body. You're letting them drive the car. So once you come to and you become emotionally, mentally conscious again and aware of what's going on, you're like, you know what? I've woken up and I'm ready to express what I've went through. And that is how a person can stay in a connection so long with the abuse and then 10 years later come out. Okay? Come out and tell their story. So are there people out there that come out 10 years later and it's full of shit, the story, right? Yes. But the majority of the people, I really feel and believe, that come out, it is real. you know. And I just feel like it's not right to victim blame somebody and victim shame someone because they didn't come out with their story at a time that you felt they were supposed to. Everything is everything until you have to experience it, right? We're so quick to judge other people and say what we would and wouldn't do, but we never experienced it. We never walked in their shoes. We never had to walk that path. We never had to carry that burden. So how can you have so much insight on something that you never had to go through? You know, and me myself, I've been victim blamed and victim shamed, you know, and I've experienced the victim blaming part of it by family, you know. And that's a by watching my videos you will get to, you know, see and understand what I've gone through with my family over time, you know, watching my content. And so, you know, the victim shaming thing, just I'm putting this out not to point fingers really, but just to shed some light on if you have anybody in your life, right, that may be going through some situations, and you know you feeling like, well, if you went through this, then why you ain't, and why you didn't do, think twice before you do that. Okay, think twice, because you don't want to start throwing stones and you don't know where they're landing. Okay, and you don't even know the whole situation. So just be mindful of that, and also try to remember that at one point in time you were once a victim and you didn't like being shamed or blamed for what you went through, right? And so that's my perspective, you know, as far as Cassie goes in the situation.